Republicans.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer in Congress more than 4 decades now, insisting everything is fine in his party, even as younger Democrats push to change the status quo. Let's bring in 2 former Democrats, Manhattan Republican District Attorney candidate Maron and Walkaway Campaign founder Brandon Straka. Thank you both for coming on. Brandon, to you first. The New York Times writes the following, in part quoting here how the party blundered. It goes on to say, some believe a heavy reliance on abortion rights messaging or anti-Trump sentiment has come at the expense of a stronger economic focus. Others say party leaders underestimate how much pandemic-era school closures or reflexive defenses of former President Joseph R. Biden Jr.'s re-election bid have eroded voters' trust in Democrats. Is that it, Brandon, or is there more to add to this list?
There's a lot more to add to that list. And for the record, those are all things that many of us were talking about for many, many years. As you pointed out, there's 2 of us on this panel right now that walked away from the Democratic Party. So it wasn't just conservatives and Republicans that were calling out these issues. It was Democrats saying, look, you guys, you're not paying attention to what the American people want. And the Democratic Party has gone too far. It's become far too leftist, and the policies are out of control. So no, they haven't been listening to their base for a very, very long time. They're out of touch. And I think that their attempts to rebrand the party are going to fall on deaf ears, because I still don't think that they're actually paying attention to the reasons why so many people have left their party and it's failing.
Yeah, meantime to you, Maron, because you wrote this as an op-ed in the Washington Reporter, and it reads, for years, far-left politicians have used New York City's one-party rule to push dangerous ideas and elect extremists like Alvin Bragg and now Zohran Mamdani. They're not focused on safety or sanity. They're using their offices to run ideological experiments that put everyday New Yorkers at risk. You're saying the city is becoming less and less safe.
Absolutely. And we know that the number one concern of New Yorkers right now is public safety. You know, across every racial group, every economic strata of our city, people are reporting that public safety is what they're concerned about. And if we have a Mayor Mamdani and a District Attorney Alvin Bragg, we're going to have a giant decarceration team trying to keep people out of jail, which makes New Yorkers less safe. It's the last thing we need. And New York needs to follow the steps of, San Francisco and Los Angeles, which moved beyond that progressive prosecutor movement, which we know makes cities and makes people in cities less safe.
Yeah, though they have not moved beyond the progressive movement itself. Meantime, you look at what's happening on the left, Brandon, and you have, the anti-Semitism that we have seen for the better part of 18 months, the violence on the far left from, Luigi Mangione, you name it as it goes up the thing, even going after ICE now. I mean, they apparently think violence sells.
Yeah, well, they've been pushing this for a very long time, and it's something that I think, if you even look right now at a lot of the people who are trying to rebrand the Democratic Party, they have a long history of trying to defund the police, they're pushing a lot of these, as you're pointing out, in college campuses across the country. We have Jewish students who are afraid to even go to school, and these policies are being pushed by the Democrats. Nobody is standing up at this point and saying, look, we've got to get this party under control, we've got to get law and order, we've got to get back to policies that the American people want, talking about the economy, talking about jobs. This is what the American people came out and voted for Trump for, and this is why people walked away from the Democratic Party.
It's interesting because I want to put this up on the screen. This is the New York Post, written by a Columbia student, a former liberal, who writes the following here. The ideology I encountered at Columbia, anti-police, anti-capitalist, anti-Israel, and proudly anti-American, has found its candidate in Zohran Mamdani. And if he wins, that ideology will be codified into city policy. He's fed up. Got to believe a lot of others are too, Maud.
Absolutely. And let's be clear. Zohran Mamdani did win the Democratic primary, but that's not the general election. And that's not the majority of New Yorkers getting to vote and make a decision. That happens in November. And what we need in New York City is a coalition of Republicans, independents, and moderate Democrats. And that's the group that will bring together the sort of sanity that we need to restore public safety and make really important decisions about our economy. Affordability is an issue. We have a lot of issues to deal with in New York, but we need a sane coalition of people to elect sane leaders who aren't extremists, who aren't pushing extreme ideology on the people who live here.
Maron, Brandon Straka, thank you both for coming on. We appreciate it. Well, in Southern California, we're being told that ICE may pull sick people out of hospitals, college students out of class, and to not